Bloodshot comes to us from director David S.F. Wilson and writer Jeff Wadlow, who gave us bottom-of-the-barrel movies like Truth or Dare and the recent Fantasy Island. The film is based on the Bloodshot comic books from Valiant Entertainment, who became really popular in the 90s along with Image and Dark Horse Comics. Bloodshot was initially intended to launch a Valiant Comics cinematic universe. However, late last year, Valiant Entertainment moved all of their film projects from Sony Pictures over to Paramount, kind of leaving Bloodshot out to dry. Bloodshot stars Vin Diesel as soldier Ray Garrison, who was killed in action and brought back to life via nanotechnology, thanks to the company Rising Spirit Tech, which gives Ray super strength and a body that can be rebuilt at any time. Unfortunately for Ray, Rising Spirit Tech wants to use him as a weapon, who will do their dirty work, without Ray having any choice in the matter, and so it's up to Ray to get to the bottom of this conspiracy and regain his free will. Bloodshot is a movie that contains a lot of interesting ideas about nanotechnology, having memories tampered with, and loss of free will. We've seen some of these ideas explored in movies like Ghost in the Shell, RoboCop, and recently Upgrade. However, it's also a Vin Diesel action movie, which delivers these sorts of themes with as much subtlety as you might expect. If you go into Bloodshot with movies like XXX or Chronicles of Riddick in mind, you'll have an idea of what you're in store for. This means plenty of shots of Vin Diesel in a white tank top, working out with weights, and mumbling his lines with a general lack of self-irony. And I say this with all respect to Vin Diesel. As a human being, he seems like one of the nicest people on the planet, especially in all of his interviews. But his movies outside of the Fast and Furious franchise all come with an expected sense of mediocrity, and I imagine that these kinds of generic action films from Vin Diesel will eventually be straight to streaming fare, because Bloodshot is a character that has the potential to be portrayed well on screen. Bat and the Sun did a solid web series called Ninjak vs. the Valiant Universe, where Jason David Frank played Bloodshot, who totally looked and played the part convincingly. Instead, Vin Diesel's Ray Garrison is an unstoppable killing machine from the get-go, who either mumbles or shouts his way through the movie. Once he receives his nanotech powers, he's pretty proficient with them from the get-go, so we don't get to see Ray really discover how to use his powers or how to adapt. He can just use these powers that are bolstered with some flashy CGI, although not all the effects in the movie are that convincing. There are some fun action scenes in Bloodshot, although many of them are very quickly cut together without much of a flow to them, at times just leaving the action to feel like visual noise, next to Steve Jablonsky's admittedly decent score. On top of that, Guy Pearce's Dr. Emil Harting, the head of this big Rising Spirit tech company, just explains away most of the film. Every time a piece of technology or power needs to be explained, Guy Pearce is there to give exposition, removing any hints of mystery or intrigue surrounding Ray's abilities. That's without mentioning that most of the trailers and marketing for Bloodshot give away almost the entire plot, so if you're at all interested in seeing Bloodshot, stay away from the trailers. Bloodshot is also packed with a lot of bizarre, juvenile humour that at times can just be borderline cringeworthy. Lamorne Morris, as the tech genius Wilfred Wiggins, makes some of the comedy work. The movie tries to make Morris, Vin Diesel, and Eiza González this tight-knit trio, but we spend so little time with them all together that it's really hard to care about what happens to them. Look, don't get me wrong, with a few beers and friends around, Bloodshot can be this dumb, fun, cheesy action movie that you can put on if you don't want to think too much while you're watching. As kind of a guilty pleasure action movie, next to Chronicles of Riddick and XXX, Bloodshot could wind up fitting in with those cult Vin Diesel action movies. There was just so much potential with Bloodshot to be more than a dumb, guilty pleasure RoboCop clone that honestly sits comfortably next to odd comic book adaptations like the live-action Spawn or The Phantom. Judging by the box office, this might be the only time we see Vin Diesel as Bloodshot, and if that's the case, I do hope the character is represented more faithfully when they eventually get rebooted. For now though, Bloodshot is a dumb, forgettable Vin Diesel action movie that can offer some fun entertainment if you go in with lowered expectations. Just know what you're getting into. Bloodshot gets a 5.5 out of 10 from me. Guys, I hope you like this review. If you want to see more reviews just like this one, stay right here for your mono fix. Bye guys.